Hi guys, welcome to Sanctuary TV. I hope you've been enjoying the Christmas season. We are in the last week of 2015 and this year has really flown by. Now that Christmas Day has gone, we're actually in my favourite time of the year. I tend to be very reflective during the last week of the year. And what I wanted to do was to spend some time sharing with you my reflections on 2015 and also how I reflect on the year at the end of each year. So this video is all about preparing to reflect. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is get yourself all set and ready, which is why I am wearing a onesie today. I discovered onesies last year and I absolutely love them. It's just really about getting into something comfortable. And I like to get quite comfortable and cozy when it comes to reflecting. The second thing I like to have with me is a cup of tea. This is actually spiced tea latte today, but it's usually about having some time where you can sit down with some creature comforts and be in a relaxed state. So for me, it's a onesie, a cup of tea, and usually I go to my favourite reflection spot, which is actually here. This is in our spare room. It's a nice sort of little sofa area, and often I also like to light a little candle. Just get into a nice sort of relaxed zone, ready to ponder on the year of 2015. The next set of things are a series of books I like to have with me. As I said, it's all about reflecting, but a lot happens in a year. So I like to have some key books with me to help me to really review the year properly. And the first book I tend to have with me is my journal. This is a lovely journal that I got a few years ago, and I use my journal really to write my thoughts, write my prayers, write about significant things that have happened that year. So usually I take my journal out as an opportunity for me to really reflect on what has been going on during the year. I also will usually bring out my diary. This is an Erin Condren life planner. I do love to use this to organise myself. For anyone who knows me, they will know I'm a planner. But it does mean that when I want to reflect on and review on my year, by looking into my diary, it just helps to trigger memories of what I was doing each week and what happened in each month. And then finally, a notebook. Something to actually write down my thoughts. You can actually do this in your journal, but sometimes I might just want to note a few things in my notebook as I'm going along. So now that you've got all your toolkit, that along with a pen, which I've got here, you're now ready to reflect. So, the process. So I'm not saying that this is the best way to reflect or the only way to reflect, but this is the way that I like to reflect. And the first thing I like to do in my reflection process is actually to review the year. So I'll take out my diary and I'll just flick through and have a look and remind myself of what happened month by month, any significant events. I also will use my journal, flick through and read through that and see anything significant that I feel that God was talking to me about, or any major challenges I faced this year that I journaled about. And it's really a time just to review and consider what actually took place in 2015. What were the highs and what were the lows? And I personally like to write these down in my notebook as well. Having done that, I then will pull out my goals. I have got a video in a series as a playlist of how to change your life in a year, and in there I do talk about setting goals. And I like to sort of look at what my goals have been for the year and consider, have I achieved them? Which were the goals that were particularly relevant? Were there any goals I had on my list that were out of season that maybe I haven't focused on this year because actually they shouldn't have been on my list in the first place? Or which are the goals that I neglected and what were the reasons behind neglecting those goals? I think it's also important to consider additional achievements that year. So for example, this year, 2015, there are things that happened this year which I didn't expect at all. As we know, often we may have a plan for a year, but God has a different plan. And one of the mistakes we can make when we review our goals is focus on the things we haven't achieved, but forget that there may have been additional things we have achieved in the year. So this year for me has really been a year of instruction from God. God has really been talking a lot about things I should be doing in the future and giving me yeah, just sort of guidelines as to what to focus on over the next few years. So that was not something I really expected in 2015, but it is still something that is worth noting. And again, that will be reflected in my journal, as well as also it was something I would note down in my review of 2015. Finally, start to think about 2016. What are the things that you would like to see in 2016? What are the things that God's been laying on your heart to focus on in 2016? Remember, I personally don't think that goals is about making a list of tasks to do, but it's more about actually finding out what are the goals that God has for you next year? What are the areas He wants you to focus on? And it's really about being prayerful. What I will do is I will leave in the link in the description box below a link to the previous videos I've done about goal setting. So I really think it's important to review how to set goals and to make sure that it is a meaningful process. So that's how I like to reflect. That's how I like to review my year. And for me, it's always important to reflect on a year before I set goals for the following year. Stay tuned. In our next video, I'm going to be sharing some of the books I've read in 2015 and some of the books that have had an impact on my life this year. And there will be more videos out later this week. Take care and God bless. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!